Okay, so in video 2 we talked about the gross profit margin. The focus was on gross profit and sales. Gross profit as a percentage of sales. How much of our sales are we keeping? How much of our revenue are we keeping before looking at overheads? We're only interested in the cost of the sale. And I guess the argument is if we can control those costs, and we talk about the cost of, when I say the cost of sale, the actual product itself. And the better our purchasing controls, the better our gross profit margins would be. The better we can control the cost of the product, the better our margins would be. So let's move on and let's look at this next one referred to as the net profit margin. Let me expand this. So that we can do a screencast on that review. Let's do this. So here we are. What is the net profit margin? The net profit margin sort of says to us that, okay then, now let's focus on your net profit and compare it with sales. How much eventually are you keeping for yourself? And of course, again, the higher the number, it means that you are having good controls over cost of sales and other expenses, all these overheads. I mean, ultimately, we wish to eliminate overheads, right? And it's really for decision making. If our gross profits are really good and our net profits are really poor, well, we know we're good businessmen in terms of putting a markup and selling the product, but we know there's a problem with the overhead costs that we're dealing with. So things like rent and light. So kind of fixed costs. So maybe you're thinking, maybe I just move area. Maybe as long as I can still get demand for my product, maybe the overheads are too high. I don't know. I mean, the key point is that we know we can clearly see what the differences are, what the problems are. So let's look at that. Let's look at that first question that we had. Let's come out of this. Let's come back here and look at our table to guide us. Let's come back here and sort of work out the net profit ourselves. So yeah, let's look here. Look at this again. This is our net profit here, our net profit here. So the net profit margin says that's you received £1,000 over the till. Well, when I say 1,000, 1 million, but we have 1,000 here, and you've kept 100 of that. So 900 in total has gone out of you to pay for cost of sales and expenses. So you've kept 100. So for every £1,000 you receive, you've kept 100. But it's better to make that in terms of hundreds. So the argument is for every £100 you receive, you're basically keeping 10. So what am I saying? 100 divided by 1,000 times 100. Because that's how we work out percentages. And I do exactly the same thing for company B. 150 over 2,000 times 100. And when you do this, we do this, you do this, you have £7.50 here, and then here you have £10. So the argument here is this, that overall, A has a higher net profit margin of, well, when I say £10, 10%. 10%, 7.5%. But in simple speak, it means for every £100 you're receiving, you are keeping £7.50 here, and you are keeping £10 here. So it therefore means that if we gave this character here, the resources we gave B, he would do better. So the argument is just on looking at sales, if we just doubled his sales, he'd have 2,700, therefore giving him 1,300. He'd have 1,100, and he'd have 200. So the key point, the key point is that we should then invest in A and give him the resources he needs, because he'll do a much better job than Mr. B. Okay, great stuff. So let's just go back to net profit and just quickly make sure we're happy with that, and we've tied that up. Again, a low number means that we're probably having too high overheads, and we can start looking at ways we sort of know how to deal with the situation, and what we need to do, whether to reduce our overheads, look for creative ways to reduce our overheads, whatever it is, long-term contracts, new residents, change suppliers, change building, that sort of thing. Okay, great stuff. So in the next video, we will talk about return on capital employed, which is the last profitability ratio. See you then.